Do you notice anything particularly dynamic about my lighting setup right now? I'll give you 3 seconds to figure it out. If your answer was this looping hue light right here, then 10,000 points to you. You have picked up on the Nanlite Pavobulb 10C doing its magic. Now, it's not only good as a tool that spices up your lighting setup, it's also great as a inconspicuous practical light, which is what really it's made for. So for example, I am now controlling this lamp right here that has the Pavobulb 10C. I can control the brightness and also the color. Let's light it up. What's up, gearheads? Welcome back to Hammerhead Gearhead. Noel Guevara here, conservation photographer and filmmaker. If you want to see some context of my work, head on over to my Instagram, Noel Guevara Photo. But speaking of my work, not a lot of people know this, but I used to be a filmmaker as well. Well, I still direct every now and then. But before, I was a commercial director, TV commercial director, and I just want to talk about some of the challenges that we would encounter when it comes to putting lights into set. Right. So normally, if I wanted to have practical lights, whether they're lamps or fluorescent bulbs or tubes, there are a lot of things that we have to consider, especially my DOP. And these would be normally the accuracy of that light, the continuity, and just how much we can rely on that light for the whole scene. Well, those are things that we have to talk about in pre-production. And then fast forward to today, we have this. This is the Nanlite Pavobulb 10C. And this is not exactly new. It has been around for a few months. And I wanted to share with you the reasons why this has been working so well for me, whether it's in studio or mostly in studio, and also when I'm streaming. So like, subscribe, and crush that notification bell, and let's get started. All right, so let's dive into the specs of this Pavobulb 10C from Nanlite. First off, it's an RGB WW light, so you have HSI control and it's bicolor. It is 4.76 inches long and is 2.9 inches in diameter at its thickest. It also weighs 168 grams. It has a CRI rating of 95 and a TLCI rating of 97. It has built-in heat sinks and has 3 buttons, 1, 2, 3, for external control. It can also be powered by a USB-C cable. It fits in any Edison E27 sockets, and the price ranges from $70 to $100 depending where you are in the world. Now that we have gone through the specs, let's go through the features. So what I have here is the Pavobulb connected to an accessory kit that gives you the ability to use an NPF battery, right? So more on this later when we get to the accessories. And it also has this sort of magnetic stand that you can use for, well, different mounting options. But let's get to it first. So as I mentioned before in the specs, you can control the Pavobulb with these 3 buttons. So for example, the dimming, the mode, let's say bicolor or CCT, and HSI, and also for the hue. You can adjust it, and usually these are in steps. For example, the dimming, they are in step intervals that basically just go around back to 0. So more control you can get with the app itself. Next is it's powered by or through a USB-C port right here. You can use this accessory to power it, or you can also use, let's say, an FX Lion, an external battery. But if you connect it directly to an Edison port or socket, it'll power through that, right? So you won't have that problem. Now, to better demonstrate all the features, let us use this, which is the Nanlite app, right? So all right, almost immediately, let's put it right here. Let's go into CCT, and you will notice that, well, you can't really notice this so much because it's too bright, but at least through the cast, you can see it. You can go from 2700 Kelvin all the way to 7500 Kelvin. And what's beautiful about it is you have a green and magenta shift. So this is really what sets it apart, and this is the control and accuracy that you can get with this product. You also have different effects. You have a hue loop, CCT loop, and so on. So that is built in, and most products in this category have this feature anyway. And you also have HSI control, which gives you a lot. It has an accurate rendition of 36,000 colors. And what's wonderful about it is actually this color matching option, which you can see here. You just click the camera icon and let's say point it to the red part of my A10 mini, and done. And as you can see through the cast right here, it has already reflected that color. Now, what about the runtime? If you have it with an NPF 750 battery, which we have right now, it'll run for 5 hours at 100%, and it'll run for 3 hours on a much smaller capacity NPF 550 battery. This light, well, you can also control it via DMX for stage performances and what have you. And it fits the Nanlite ecosystem really, really well because of the app that we have. Next, let's talk about the intuitive and very inventive accessories that you can get with the Pavobulb 10C. So again, here is the Pavobulb, and these are the 3 accessories that I use on a regular basis. So first, you have this, which allows you, this accessory that allows you to use NPF batteries to power the Pavobulb. So let's put an NPF 750 right here. So what this enables you to do is connect the Pavobulb 10C. It has its own Edison socket right there. And then you can power it like so. And there you go, it's lit up. And you can then put this into, let's say, an actual, any regular lamp with an Edison socket. So if you are in a location or set that doesn't have power, for practicals, you can use this this accessory for battery power. Next, you have this Edison socket mount that is magnetic. So you just put it in. And it also has an adapter port so that you can connect it directly to an outlet, right? So you can skip this if you wanted to. If you can skip this battery accessory and just go straight into the socket. And this is actually interesting. It's magnetized so that you can stick it right there. That's pretty neat. And it's pretty sturdy. Yeah, that magnet is quite strong. Now, finally, is this interesting contraption that you have here. And what this does is that it sticks via suction on the bulb and allows you to control the amount of light that is coming out of it. So imagine it inside a lamp with a reflector, and this contraption allows you, or this diffuser shade allows you to control the light output without any very complicated accessory. So I thought this was really simple, very cool, and very, very effective. Now, the Pavobulb actually comes out also in 4 bulb and 12 bulb kits, and this basically gives you the freedom and the capacity to use as many of these lights as you want in one particular scene as you see fit. All right, so let's talk about how I use, let's bring this up a bit. Let's talk about how I use the Pavobulb in a studio scenario. So if this setup looks familiar to you, then great, 10 points to you. Thank you for following or watching my Watch Me Work episode. So Watch Me Work is a live stream demo series that I do every Wednesdays at 9 o'clock p.m. Philippine time, where I demonstrate basically how I do my post-processing work for my photos. And, since it's a demo type show, I have to try and make the frame, or this frame that you're seeing right now, interesting enough. It could get mundane and very boring when you're just, going through all the procedures or the processes that you have. And I do that through lighting, right? And Pavobulb is figuring in very organically into the setup. So let's get to it. So first would be the studio house lights, right? I replaced 2 of my ceiling lights with Pavobulbs. So this that you're seeing right now is a Pavobulb 10C that's on sort of hue loop. So it's going from blue, cycling through red and so on, orange, yellow, and it's adding that extra punch, that interesting, making the background a little more interesting. And that's where it works really well. It's strong enough to be noticed. The bulb is strong enough to be noticed in frame. And using this app, I can also change that. When I'm not shooting, when I'm working, I want to convert the studio back into a regular room, I would just hit the preset and shift it back to a warm light, like so. There you go. So, it sort of camouflages itself back to where it once was a warm light, right? Okay, but for now, we can keep it at that effect of hue loop, and it's easy as pie to switch back to that. Now, I also use the Pavobulb as a practical. And if you haven't noticed, or if you haven't seen the show, this Pavobulb, this lamp actually has a Pavobulb as well. So I could just change the color instantly and easily using that app, right? And then, of course, if I just want to use the app again, as a normal lamp, then I could bring it back to warm, or I could put it to, let's pick one, probably 5,000 Kelvin, and I can use it like any normal lamp, right? Like so. Take down notes and so on. And if I was to turn it off, you would see that I have the bulb and the sort of diffuser at the same time, to just manage the spill of the light, like so. Right? Yeah, and that's how I use it in a studio setup, and how usually it could be used. Honestly, it's strong enough to be noticed in frame and to have a good effect in frame, but it's not strong enough to be a key light or a fill light. It's just really good for practicals, effects, and used in combination with other Pavobulbs to just achieve effects that you had in your vision for the scene. All right, so let's get into the good stuff and get into the strengths of this Pavobulb 10C. So first off the bat is that it's very, very easy to use. There is no learning curve at all. When I got it, I just plugged it into the Edison socket of my desk lamp, as you see in my show Watch Me Work, and installed the app, or added it into the app, and started using it instantly. What's happening to me? And also would be the accessories themselves. So like you can see here, the magnetic mount and also the battery accessory. Nanlite has thought of everything, even with just the bulb itself, even without the accessories, how you have these 3 buttons that you can use and that you can power it via a USB-C source, right? Another awesome thing it has going for it is the actual app. The fact that you can control everything, CCT, HSI, and effect modes, and also presets. So I have presets for my different shows. I could just cue them in and they snap on immediately. So it makes my life so much easier. Plus, if you go into the dimming, you can actually, if you see it right here, I think it's better like that, yeah. So you could dim and adjust it at 1% increments. That's how much control, let's put it in the center, it gives you, right? That's absolutely amazing. So you can't get that kind of accuracy and flexibility with, let's say, a non-production colored LED bulb. And lastly, the amazing thing is that it barely has any noise. So I'll turn off my noise filter and bring this closer to the mic. None, no noise whatsoever. As for improvements, well, I just have one, and it's a really big one in that the Pavobulb is huge. So on the left, you have the Nanlite Pavobulb 10C, and on the right is your standard LED light that you use indoors, right? So normally this wouldn't be a problem, except if you use the Pavobulb as your pin light, right? Or the bulb in your pin light on your ceiling. If you want to use it as a house light, or just want to add that hue feature, CCT feature, or that, you know, that bulb that has that sort of control. So what I had to do with mine is that I had to remove the reflector that comes with it, just so that I could attach this and keep it on the whole time, right? So that's the only thing, because it's absolutely huge. You know, if you compare both, you know, it's like David and Goliath right beside each other. Okay, so we get to the verdict, and well, this is one of those reviews where the verdict actually came first at the start, because I absolutely love this product, and it's, you know, the whole video is just really about me explaining why it's awesome. So yeah, it's great. It's an integral part of my studio setup, and one that really elevated the type of production I have, the production value of my shows. It gave me flexibility over lights, colors, everything about my scenes, made my, you know, my sets that much more interesting, really. So the really big question now is, how long would these last, right? So for most of you, you will be using these on a project basis. So if you have a project, you need practical lights or have use for this, then you'd put it on. What I did instead is that I plug it into my ceiling lights, to my pin lights, and also use it as my regular house light, although not as often as I should, or not as regularly as I should. And its primary use is for color for my sets, but at times when I do need typical house lights, then I'll just use them. So I will get back to you on how long these bulbs will actually last going through that much abuse. But otherwise, if it conks out, fizzles out, then I'll just buy a new one. I mean, between $70 to $100. The effect that it has on my productions is, immeasurable, to say the least. All right, and that is it for my review of the Nanlite Pavobulb 10C. Now, if you want the Pavobulb, you see use for it in your own productions, if you're in the Philippines, check out MQ Group or MQ Lighting or Nanlite Philippines. So they have been sorting me out a lot for all my productions, whether it's for this channel or for my commercials. So they're amazing. Outside, well, I have Amazon affiliate links down below. So, there's no extra charge on your end, but it does help finance this show. Also, please check out Watch Me Work, which is my live weekly show wherein I do demos of how I edit my photos, whether it's wildlife, landscape, portrait, and so on. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for my next videos. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will have opinions and thoughts on the Pavobulb 10C or the Nanlite ecosystem in general. Please let me know in the comments. I would love to talk to you about this and find out more. I'm not really tied to Nanlite in that sense, so having different perspectives for a particular product or product range would be awesome. I'll see you guys in the next video.